Hello guys, my name is Zach. For those who are the first time on my channel, I'm 20 years old Russian who just recently left Russia because of my views against the war with Ukraine. And today I want to make a video about the protests in Russia. I'll tell you about the protests that already took place in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and the rest of Russia. Also, I'll tell you what's gonna wait for you if you are going to take part in the protests in Russia, how it's gonna be. Are you gonna be arrested or not? And also, I'll tell you about my experience of protesting. I went to the protest the first day of the war, and I almost got arrested. At one moment, 6 policemen were running after me, and somehow I made it out. I'm right now recording this video. So watch until the end to hear the story. Since the start of the war, 15,108 people were arrested. There is a website called Over the Info where you can check on daily basis how many people are getting arrested every day in Russia for the anti-war protests. In the first day of the war, 1,974 people were arrested in the whole country Russia, but 700 of those people were only in Moscow. So the first day of protests, only in Moscow, 700 people arrested. And actually, I could be one of those people, but I was really lucky to make it away out of 6 policemen chasing me. But I'll tell you about this a little bit later, but it was really scary for me. So most of those people who are arrested, who were arrested for some time, they either gonna be fined, so they have to pay some amount of money, something approximately 25,000 rubles, which is right now, I think, $250, which is, in Russia, that's a sufficient fine. But some of them, I wouldn't say most of them, they're gonna be put in jail, unfortunately. And there's gonna be felony cases on them. And there were already cases when people for protesting, they were sent to jail for a couple of years. And it's not something new to Russian protesters. There were some cases during Navalny's protests that took place in different age before the war. However, on these protests, protesters faced tortures from police departments, in police departments. And one girl, she actually recorded on her phone how she was tortured in one of the police departments. And I was really shocked because policeman, he's saying that Putin gave us an order to hit you, to torture you, to make whatever we want with you, so you won't protest any further.
Там, блядь. Ой, ну спасибо. Так, ударить по лицу, бутылку с водой. Ой. Ну. Ой. Ты как, она, мне кажется, кайфует, а то, что пиздимая.
Да посмотри на меня.
Ну да, это чмо, блядь. Оригинал-то нахуй. Чё, потому что я чуть лучше, за это надо нахуй Путин сказал, ебашь ты нахуй. Долбоебов. Все, Путин на нашей стороне. Вы враги России, вы враги народа, нахуй. Сейчас заебашим сейчас тебя нахуй здесь и все. Дело в шляпе. Еще премию за это получишь.
The full version you can find in the description below because I don't want to violate some of the YouTube guidelines. And this is something new. We didn't face it before. There was such practice before in Belarus in protests in summer 2020, but nothing like this before in Russia. There were also a couple of accidents when protesters, they were actually fighting back those protesters who are arrested by policemen. And I believe this is really dangerous. For example, in this video, 2 guys, they are fighting back their friend, I believe, who were arrested in St. Petersburg. And I think, as far as I remember, one of the guys who are fighting the most, they're going to send him to jail, and he's already on the felony case, in a felony case. So, fighting back protesters is really dangerous in Russia. You can get to jail easily, and not many people are doing that. And it can be just dangerous for you. Also, some of the solo protests took place and most of the people who were solo protesting, they were all arrested. And I think solo protest is even more dangerous in Russia than being in a riot, not riot, but being in a group of people in a crowd, because when there is a crowd, it's pretty hard to catch all of them, all of the protesters in the crowd. But in those videos that I'm gonna show you, you're just gonna understand how dangerous is this to solo protest or to picket, as far as I know. This is how you call it in English. So watch it.
Вы за активистов?
За активистов, конечно.
Я просто хотела спросить, как вы думаете, если здесь просто сказать два слова, меня за это сейчас арестуют или нет?
Вас уже задерживают. С ума сойти. С ума сойти. Вы это видели, нет?
Вы снимаете только оппозиционеров, да?
Всех снимаю.
Всех снимаете? Ну, а вот у кого есть другое мнение, вы тоже их снимаете?
Конечно, всех снимаю.
Ну, а тех, кто, например, не выходит на митинги, и кто считает, что военная операция, которую развернула наша страна, вы таких снимаете?
Да? Мы все мнения показываем.
Ну, вот я тоже хочу высказать тогда свое мнение.
Скажите.
Меня устраивает то, что...
So basically, the first person was arrested for just showing a billboard that says two words. And another woman, she came across and she was like, "Oh, do you film only protesters? I am pretty okay with military operation." And she also got arrested. It shows pretty perfect how, you know, protesting in Russia looks like. This one is even better because the guy is just basically being arrested for having an empty piece of paper in his hands. And that's it. Here the guy is being arrested for having 8 stars in his paper, and if you would be a Russian, you would recognize 2 bad words in those 8 stars. In this video, the guy is being arrested for showing his bank card Mir. Mir translates as peace. Mir is the Russian analog of Visa and MasterCard. Since recently, Mir is the only type of cards you can have in Russia. An old man, Stanislav Karmakskih, was arrested for having a picture Apotheosis of War by famous Russian painter Vasily Vereshchagin. Police department claimed that he was arrested for silent support of the protest that took place in Tomsk. What does silent protest mean? They didn't explain. And the most absurd one is the fact that police of Moscow right now is looking for the owner of the apartment that has lights that looks like a Ukrainian flag hanging on the balcony. The neighbor of that guy complained to police that the guy who had put those lights as a traitor of Russia. If you're going to protest in Russia, you're not only going to be fined, so you will have to pay some money for your fine, but you also can go to jail for many years. Because since recently we had a new law that actually allows to put you in jail if you post, if you tell somebody, even on your phone, for example, if you tell somebody fake info. What is fake info? Well, basically, fake info is everything that's what is not the information which is provided by the official medias. And among official medias, we got just a couple of them, and basically, I think you can say it's not official, everything except the website or YouTube channel, or I don't know what kind of resources they have, of Ministry of Defense of Russia about the special military operation, which is basically a war. And if you're calling a war not a war, you're going to get in jail, and you can go to jail up to 15 years. 15 years, guys. This is just crazy. 15 years for telling what is truth, you know? It's like we're literally living in 1984 by George Orwell. Like, you know, war is not peace but special military operation. I'm just going crazy. And yeah, since recently I'm a criminal in Russia. Well, they still don't have a criminal case on me, because I guess there are so many people and you can't really get a criminal case on everyone. But I guess it's pretty dangerous for me to get back to Russia, and this is why I don't want to go back to Russia, even if the war is gonna end. I don't think I will go to back to Russia until there is Putin at the power, because I think they're going to hunt all of the dissidents, all of the people who, like me, who um, went out of the country and started to protest, started to go to the protest, and I've been to a protest in Tbilisi. Uh, you guys may know this because I was live streaming from there, and yeah, I'm a criminal basically in Russia, and I can easily go to jail up to 15 years, and I don't want to go to jail. This is the reason why I'm not going to go to Russia. But it's not the only thing that can happen to you if you're going to protest in Russia. Well, you can go to jail, but I think they can't really jail everyone in the country. And I think the government of Russia will try to jail the most the most protestive ones, the most active protesters, just to show the example to the rest of protesters. If you guys going to do the same, we're going to put you in jail. But what default Russians can face if they're gonna protest a lot? Well, firstly, they can be fired from their jobs, and this is a big problem because most of the Russians, I think, not most, but I'm from the far east of Russia. Basically, here is Moscow, 8,000 kilometers. Here is my hometown, Komsomolsk-on-Amur. Most of my friends, most of my family members, most of the friends of my family members, they are all working in a governmental spheres. So they're working for either schools, universities, I don't know, fire stations, army. My stepdad, he's in the army. If somebody's working in some kind of private sector, private market, most of those companies, they are governmental funded, so they are basically governmental companies, and of course they can easily fire people if they go to protests, because this is what the government says them to do. So people are just can be easily fired, and there were already many cases about firing people for the protesting, for showing their point of view against the war. And also there were many people were fired in the previous protests in Russia, so people already have it in mind. I don't really want to go to the protests because it's pretty I can lose my job, and I have a mortgage, I have my kids to feed, I have, I don't know, some bills to pay. So many people are really afraid they're not going to be able to have some kind of income, basically. This is why they are afraid to protest. But you know what? I think Ukrainian people are more, they fear more because they can lose their life. They can easily lose their life. And I don't think that's a really excuse for a person not to protest, because you can lose your job. Well, going to jail for 15 years, yeah, that's pretty serious. But losing a job, there are so many funds right now who are helping, even in Russia, those who are going to protest. And well, of course, you can lose your job, but you always can find a new one outside of the governmental sector, so to say. Also, speaking about university life, usually, like, history shows most of the revolutions or most of the protests, they are made by young people, like the people of my age, like 20, 30, a little bit 40. But most of people of my age, they're studying in universities, basically. And there is a really big practice in Russia. If you're studying in university, you can be kicked out in university if you are going to take part in the protests. I know it's not only the practice in Russia. In most of the other authoritative countries, they also do this. So students are really afraid they're gonna lose their opportunity to study there. You may ask, like Americans, for example, oh, how are they going to drop you out from your university, kick you out from your university because you pay money for this? Well, firstly, they don't care. And secondly, in Russia, we have a governmental funded education, and you can get one education, one bachelor degree, or one specialization degree, something, for governmental money. And most of the people, they're trying to get this governmental scholarship, and it's pretty accessible. So, for example, I study in my university for free because of my governmental funds, so to say, governmental scholarship. And people are really, those governmental funded scholarships, they can be cancelled, and people can be dropped out or kicked out from the university because of their position. Officially, universities won't say we are kicking you out from our university because of your position. They will tell you, oh, we are kicking you out because of your I don't know, final exams. You did pretty bad, so we don't want students like this. But usually this is just an excuse to kick you out from university because of your position, and they don't want to have active oppositioners in their basically university or college. So yeah. And also many students of my age, and also especially males, um, they're really afraid to protest, because if you're going to protest, you're going to be kicked out from university, and they're going to draft you to the army. And of course, you can be sent to you can be sent not to jail, but to fight with Ukrainians. Well, in Russia, we have a draft. I don't know how do you say, obligatory army or draft. Every year, 2 times a year, they get some young men to the army, so they will learn some useful skills or something. They will they will learn how to shoot AK and everything, but it's pretty useless. I'll make another video about it. Why did Russian army lost so many soldiers, and why is the second largest army, the second powerful army in the world, lost to Ukraine, basically. My main point, that students, males, they are afraid to protest because they can be kicked out from the university, and they go into draft them to the army, basically. So they're really afraid to go out to the protests because of this. By the way, my friend from the US is going to tell you about a really interesting case when the professor from a Volgograd State University in the city of ex-Stalingrad, right now it's called Volgograd, the professor was threatening students who were studying bad, who are not ready for their finals. The professor told they're gonna be sent to fight with Ukrainians if they're not going to pass the finals well. And this is threatening. This is really a threat, and in the next video my friend will tell you about this. And right now, let me tell you about my experience protesting in Moscow the 24th of February, basically the first day of the war. So me and my friends decided to go together. We had to meet each other at Pushkin Square. This is basically the square where the whole protest should have had place. But, 1 hour before the protest, people already started to be arrested if they just got out of the metro station, basically on the square where the whole protest was supposed to be. So we decided to meet a couple of stations away from this station, so we would be kind of safe and we could walk to the square where the protest should have been. So we walked something about 2 kilometers to the square, and we find out that the whole square is basically blocked by the policemen. You basically have no access to the square. The whole square is blocked from different streets, different roads, by all the sides. So many policemen. And we've seen a bunch of people going another way from the square, and they were saying no to war. So we just realized this is the people that are protesting, and we decided to join. And it's been only 5 minutes that we were just going in this crowd and protesting "Stop the war," "No to war." Basically, it was the only slogan that we said that day. And it's been only 5 minutes, and they started to block the whole crowd, the whole group of people from two sides. I mean, policemen with their afterzak cars. So we had to escape policemen. We were kind of pressured from both sides, and we had to escape to a small narrow street. So right now I want to show you where the whole protest located, and I will tell you step by step about my experience running away from 6 policemen at the same time, because it was my scariest moment in the whole life so far, and I hope it's never gonna be again like this. So let me show you. So here is Moscow, right? Pushkin Square should have been here, and here should have been the protest. The protest should have place exactly here. Why? Because this is the most protestive square right now so far in Russia. All of the protests that took place in Russia in maybe last 8 or 10 years, they were all happening over here on Pushkin's Square. So me with friends, we because you know you couldn't really get out from the metro over here, so we had to get out somewhere over here on Tsvetnoy Boulevard station. We went all the way over here and we headed to Pushkinskaya Street. But we over here already, all of the policemen, they blocked everything, so you couldn't really basically went so close to the Pushkin Square to protest. So we have seen maybe 700 or 1,000 people going this way, away from the policemen. And we decided to join them. So we've been only 5 minutes protesting, going from here over here.
Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне!
Then here some couple of afterzaks came and they started to block our way. So we basically had to go the other way. And we got a little bit here and here, some more policemen, some more afterzaks stopped to pressure us. So we got blocked from both sides. So we basically were blocked from one side and from the other side. So we had the only one way to get away, just go to this narrow street. So we went over here. Let me turn panorama so you would be able to see where it's all happened. So the whole, all of the crowd were going this way and then another way. And so the only way to get away was to go over there. So all the crowd of 1,000 people, we went to this narrow Moscow street trying to hide from policemen.
Guys, this is crazy. Like, even a small amount of people, something about 500, they're getting destroyed.
And so here we 1,000 people, maybe 700, a little bit less. Some people already ran away. We stayed here and we were thinking, what should be the next? What's gonna be the next move of the police? And some guy in the crowd, he was like, why are we staying? There is no point to stay. They're just easily gonna go around us and they're gonna arrest everyone. We should continue, we should go. And so we did. We went all the way to this street, we went all the way up.
Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне! 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 Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет!
And you know, I was in the front of the crowd. Unfortunately, I didn't film this, and I was in the front of the crowd. And at one moment when we were going here, one автозак just appeared from this street and started to go on us. And I was in the front of the crowd, and I was really, you know, my level of adrenaline just went up. I almost lost my mind. I was so scared because I know if they're gonna arrest me, that's it. I'm gonna be put either in jail or they're gonna put me in the army, and I'm going to fight against Ukrainians, against my brothers. So I just ran away in the opposite direction over there so fast as I didn't run it. I didn't run so fast in my life before. And before the whole thing, I was actually trying to stay with my friends, so we won't lose together. But at that time, I was like, okay, I had to be at least by myself, at least free by myself. So I went all the way to the end of the crowd, all the way there. And I used to play basketball, so I run pretty fast on small distances. I don't really like running for long distances. It's pretty tiring for me, but I really like, you know, short distances. So I ran all the way back here, and I was the first one to come back over here from that direction, and I was staying over there trying to film how people were running away from Afterzag. And at one time, I was staying over here, I've heard here there were some cars parked, and from one car, which was not really kind of marked, so it wasn't a police car, it was just an unmarked car, two policemen, they went out of the car and they started to run after me. And at this time, I was the only one here. There were no protesters. They were all somewhere here, and they started to run after me. I was like, damn, okay. This is my first time ever policemen are running after me. So I ran this way, I was thinking it's gonna be easy to lost in those streets. So I ran here, and then I ran over there. And at the moment when I was here, they were still running after me, even though I was running pretty fast. And I had basically two options, go further or go right. And I was going to go further because I was thinking my max speed should be faster than theirs. But here there was a car, policeman's car, and I didn't see this because there were no lights, and it basically was kind of dark. So, and I was really running fast, didn't really pay attention. And at one moment, two policemen coming out of this car, and they starting to run to me, like in front of me. And so I basically had the only way to run to the right. So I ran to the right. I just looked back for 1 second, and I've seen four policemen running after me at one moment, and I was already, damn, Zach, what are you doing, man? Like, a couple of months ago, I was chilling in the United States of America, everything was so nice. What happened to your life, man? What happened? And from this car, two policemen came out, right? I remember it as it was right now. One guy was really kind of obese and bald. Another guy was really skinny and really tall. And this obese, bald guy started to scream to me, like, stop, I say to you, stop, suka, like, stop them. And I was really shocked, I was really feared. And here, like somewhere over there, maybe 50 meters or 30 meters, two policemen were also going on the sidewalk. They were kind of like patrolling or something, and they've heard that this guy is screaming this bald guy is screaming to me so that I should stop. And they just turn around and they see the picture, me running away from four policemen at the same time. And of course, what did they start to do? They started to block my way. Actually, here in the panorama, you already see two policemen's cars. It's just usual for Moscow. In the center, there are so many policemen's cars. And so they started to try to block my way. I didn't really have much in options. Here, I see some kind of, turn right, but when it was dark, I didn't see this, and there is not much of a space to run away, you know, to the left or to right. So they started to block my way. And at one moment, I just realized, man, 4 policemen behind of you, 2 policemen in front of you, you don't really have options to escape. That's it. And it was a really interesting moment, because in such moments, your brain works for all 200%. I was just memorizing all of the stuff from my life. I remembered my childhood, my teenagerhood, my university life, my US life. And at one moment, I remembered how I was watching American football with my host mom in the US, with Riva. Hi, Riva, if you're watching this. And at one moment, I just realized how one guy from attackers from this football match in America, he kind of fooled the defender by going straight to the defender, and then at the last second he just turned right. And at this moment, I just remember how like my logical process in the head was processing, and at this moment I was like, okay, damn, I'm gonna do the same. And I did the same, and it really worked out. I was freaking out. How did this possible? And actually, at this time, you know, where there are 2 policemen who were still standing before me, I was so tired. Like literally, my muscles were giving up. Even like, you know, when you're running, your thighs are burning, your whole body burning, but even my ass, it was burning because I was running so fast. And I ran to this moment something about 400 meters on the max speed. So I was really tired, and it was pretty cold also. So I was you know, I was breathing really heavily with the cold air, and somehow I made it out. And I ran to this corner. I stopped over here. I was just wondering, maybe they stopped chasing me, because I was the only one protester who they were chasing after. So I just looked over, and they really stopped chasing me, and I was like, whew. But I was breathing so heavily, so I started to look around what's here on the street, and I was like, and at one moment I have seen 2 policemen also staying here and watching at me. Like, you know, I was watching at them, they were watching at me, and I was like, at this moment I was like, okay, I stopped breathing. I've made the most noble I don't know the word in English, asanka, in my life. I just crossed the street pretty slowly. Then somehow I've made it here, and I went into those I don't know, streets behind this building. And then it was just it. Somehow I've made it out, but I was so close to be arrested. Like at the same time, 6 policemen were chasing me. Just think about it, 6 policemen. Right now I'm thinking about it, I'm sweating, because this was so stressful for me. It was my biggest stress so far in my entire life. And I wouldn't be just fined, I think, for if they would arrest me. I think they would really, firstly, I would be actually dropped out from my university for this. And secondly, I think they would really send me to the war with Ukraine, which I hate. I hate even the idea about it. So I was really lucky to get it away. And then when I actually had some time to you know, get some air, there is video about it. I was really breathing heavily. And I was trying to unlock my phone, and I didn't Face ID on my iPhone, because before the protests, protesters should actually reset their Face ID, so policemen wouldn't able to unlock your phone if they're gonna arrest you with Face ID. So I reset my Face ID before the protest, and I was trying to, with a shaking hands, I was trying to unlock my phone, and it didn't work out even from the 5th try. And my phone was blocked for 20 minutes, and I was lost in those streets of Moscow. for 20 minutes just trying to find my way. And I actually changed. I got 2 hoodies on me, like one purple and one black. And I decided to change them so it would be hard for them to find me on cameras. Actually, they really do. What they really do is they look for, after the protests, they watch cameras and they try to find apartment, like people's houses who went to the protests, and then they come to them, and they start to investigate, to give you, to arrest you maybe or something. So it was pretty nice. It was actually nice that my phone got blocked. But anyway, it was really scary, and it was my first big protest in Moscow, and I was really shocked. I've been to a small protest about Alexei Navalny's poisoning in Komsomolsk, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't scary at all. Well, they were trying to catch me, but it was really easy to run away. But here, it was like a big challenge, and it was really stressful. So I do understand why many people, they're really afraid of protesting, because it's really stressful, because if you're going, they're gonna arrest you and you will have only option to run away. And that's it. So it was Zach the Russian. Thank you for watching. I hope you understood a little about protesting in Russia and why it's not so easy just go and protest. And I hope the war will end soon. So stop Putin, stop the war in Ukraine.